them as multitask. So I'm going to try and draw while I am talking. So what I am talking about today, as Patrick said, is rich pictures. Can't do this far too quickly. So what are rich pictures and how they can be used to help your business? 90% of the information that's passed to the brain is visual, as the other designers in the call will know. I'm not if my drawing's very bad today, my handwriting's awful. And it takes only 13 milliseconds for the human brain to process an image, and people form a first impression in 50 milliseconds, which is far too small a time period for me to comprehend. The human brain processes images 6,000 times faster than text. So if you can get your image across very quickly, then it's far more beneficial for selling your services or your products. But the problem we have now is the average person is distracted in 8 seconds. So when you're from your company, what you will do is you will you'll speak to a brand specialist. You will set up your brand strategy. You will probably then speak to a copywriter who will provide you with the wording that you need to sell your service. You'll go to a graphic designer and you will get a selection of brand assets. From your logo, colors, typefaces, etc., and other assets you might need. But one other thing which is useful to sell services is rich pictures, which can help explain and back up the copy. And all these add up to ideal way of selling your services or products. Now, some of the other stats I'm going to throw about through it while I'm talking is that 80% of people remember what they see. They'll 3 days later, they will only remember 20% of what they read, but they'll only remember 10% of what they hear. So again, backing up more stats to back up using imagery to follow on with your copy, just to help explain what you do or what you're selling. And this is really called visual thinking. The other thing I'm doing, because I'm doing this really quickly and my drawing is awful today, because my brain just doesn't work that way to try to do 2 things at once. Listening is fine, listening and drawing is fine, but listening and talking definitely isn't. There was a talk in San Francisco at a conference called VizThink a few years ago. There's an American chap called Dave Gray who set up a visual consultancy called X-Plane, and when he walked on stage, he asked people, hands up if you can draw. And there's probably about a third of people in the audience. Some hands shot up very quickly, some were quite slow to sort of sneak up. But he said, if you think back to being 5 or 6 years old, if I'd asked him the same question, every single hand would shoot up. It's incredible that people just get out the habit and just don't think they could do it, whereas hopefully I can persuade you to do a bit more. Another good way of using visuals to help you is mind maps. which are very simple because there's layers of information, and especially creatives, you can possibly come up with a first initial idea, which seems great, but if you mind map, you can get down to subsequent layers and ideas that may not seem as obvious, but you can put connections together and refine and work through. And it's a great tool for brainstorming. When we, the majority of rich pictures that you see at the moment are infographics, and they can be quite complex or quite simple. A lot of infographics you see are very text only, but they're great for providing clarity on a complex process. You can tell that in a simple way, or you can use a graphic to tell a story about how something's developed. So very useful addition. And the benefits of these is infographics and visuals like that. According to Xerox research, they said they can increase your sales by up to 80%. And infographics are liked and shared more than any other types of content on social media. Another stat is that Facebook posts with an image, not necessarily an infographic, but an image of any type, including video, receive twice as much engagement as posts that don't include an image. That's probably because in your feed they stand out. And also in using Twitter, tweets that include visuals are 150% more likely to be retweeted, and that's a stat from Buffer. I'm not just making these up. So the other thing that I am doing is sort of visual scribing, which is basically drawing what's been discussed at events. Drawing much better than this. And this can be done physically, which is usually on boards or large sheets of paper. And these are usually at the side of the room, and they're visible to all the attendees, so that everyone can see what's going on, what's been recorded. And the other way, which is done much more often nowadays, is digitally, whether hooked up to screens at the side of the room, visual at all times, or just presented at the end of the day. It's the TV at conferences, etc. Whoever's doing the wrap up at the end of the day, I've been told on numerous occasions they really like having this drawing reappearing, whether it's static or you can have it exporting as a time lapse. If that's going on behind them, they say they notice that people aren't looking at their phones all the time. They're actually looking in his direction, probably because there's a drawing appearing in the background. But the other thing I wanted to mention is what I'm trying to do at the moment very badly, is sketch notes, which are just basically, I've done this since I was at school, and you wouldn't be able to tell, which is just doodling and making simple notes while you're listening, and just any sort of visual can just help you remember. And I've done talks at some primary schools, and also done some work with the teachers at Murray House, just talking about the benefits of this to help. And a couple of the schools that have used it, especially one down at Peebles primary school, the teacher there really took it on board and said he noticed a huge difference in the retention of information that the pupils were having when they were actually using just sort of doodles, etc. And it doesn't matter how you can draw, but one thing that's useful to do is just build up a library of icons and ideas, so that you're reusing things like standard ones like a light bulb for an idea. They're all very well used over the years, but it's instantly recognizable to you and probably to someone else if you pass it over to. And if you build up a library of these little drawings, then over the years, it's much quicker when you're sitting in a meeting taking notes that you're using the same little icons, etc. over this. So this is what I've ended up with, which is shockingly bad. But it's a great example to show that you don't need to be an artist or to be able to draw very well to take notes that will help you remember just what's been discussed. And I do find when I go back to my notes, it's the little doodles and things round about the smaller amount of words than if I was taking written notes or typed notes that help you pull things out and help you remember things well. So hopefully that's been useful. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them at me. And, I will stop sharing.